Nicki Jhabvala on the line with us via the Rude Guest Hotline. You give Nicki at NICKI-JHABVALA. Read all of her work in The Athletic. So obviously this is going to be a big day for the Commanders organization. It's a big day for Dan Quinn. Let's start with David Blau because we know him, right? Like we've talked to him. He's been here. For David Blau today, how much does he attempt to, or does he even care to try to establish, like, this is going to be my offense, it's not going to look the same? Like, what are we expecting from Blau?
Yeah, I mean, I know he'll certainly be asked kind of what his vision is for the offense, and I don't know if I've just become too cynical or jaded, but I feel like this is the stage where a lot of coordinators and play callers sort of give the same answer, and it's not a fault of them, really. It's more of there's only so much you can really say at this point until, you know, you actually get on the field and you see what your personnel is and how it's going to fit. But I think he'll be able to give some sort of outline of kind of what he's envisioning. You know, is it going to be more Cliff or is it going to be more Ben Johnson, you know? Or is it going to be, you know, more stuff that he's been wanting to run as a player? But I think it'll be interesting. He's a smart guy, obviously. The team obviously thinks really highly of him to move him into this role. And I think the fact that there was competition for him, you know, the Lions wanted him, I think that speaks even more to what his potential is and why they decided to give him this role.
Well, looking at Durante Jones, he has influence over Vance Joseph. He has Zimmer. He also has Flores. Would the same question kind of pop up for him? What style, or are you going to lean towards one or the other?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The question will come up. And I think we're seeing that more and more nowadays where, I mean, they all love to say they're multiple, right? But I think we're seeing more of this sort of hodgepodge of experiences with, you know, with coordinators, play callers, and you can see it in, you know, the way they design their systems. And you know, some pull some stuff from the Fangio 2 high system, some, you know, have fronts that are like other systems. And I could see his, again, being more of the same, you know, pick and choose from coordinators you've learned behind, you know, add in some things that you wanted to run as an assistant, hoping you'd get this job. So I think it would be sort of similar, you know, let's paint a general outline of what we want to do and then kind of, you know, fill it in as we get to know our personnel.
It's going to be very interesting how it all kind of shakes out. Talking with our friend Nicki Jhabvala here, read all of her work in The Athletic. You know, for Blau, he knows the lay of the land. We have seen some fairly significant changes already to the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. What else do you think defensively, if you're Durante Jones, and obviously you want this job, right? Your first chance to call your own shots. But what else do you think he's like, we got to do this and we got to do this immediately?
Well, you think about the things that he's been really good at in past stops, and, you know, they were reasons they wanted to hire him, is the secondary and producing ball and getting takeaways. I mean, that's been a weak link for Washington for quite some time now. But they obviously want to improve the front. They haven't been able to generate pressure consistently for years, really. And that's with, you know, 4 first-round picks. That's with no first-round picks. That's with, you know, guys overperforming or guys, like, exceeding expectations and guys that, you know, are playing mainly because of injuries. They've had a full range of, you know, iterations of their line, and it just hasn't been able to work. But they got to get in some elite talent. But I think he's really shined in really helping the secondary, and I know that's something that they were hoping Joe Witt could do too. But I just got to think that, you know, now they'll finally give this guy the personnel they need. You hope anyway. They have a lot of work they need to do on that end. To be able to marry sort of the rush and coverage, which again has been lacking. There have been times that they've been good, you know, in one phase of the defense. There's been times where they've been good, and, you know, the defense overall, but the offense sucks. And they just need to find some consistency overall. I feel like I'm rambling totally, by the way.
No.
We also know that DQ is a defensive mind. Will it be Durante's thing, or they still going to work hand in hand?
It'll be Durante's thing, but Quinn will always have, input into the defense. And I think that would have been the case whether it was an experienced defensive coordinator or not. He's a head coach. He's always going to have sort of that veto power, and because that's his own experiences on that side of the ball, I think it was always going to be that he would have significant input. And I think we'll see some Quinn-specific things. I mean, his specialty is the fronts. And then you add in Durante's, work with the secondary. I think we could probably see more Quinn stuff, especially in year one, but, we'll see.
They got some internal stuff to deal with. I think Tunsil's at the top of the list. The time frame for internal stuff is starting. And, I wouldn't be surprised if people are signing – if they're not close on some contracts with some pending free agents, already. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. What do you think happens? We'll start with Tunsil.
I think they resign him. He's going to be an expensive one, but I think for a player like him at a position that he plays, that's what the market is, and it's worth it. I thought he was, for all the talk we make of, the 3 trades they made for veteran players and the moves they made over the last 2 years, he's one where I genuinely feel like it was worth every penny.
It worked. Yep.
We're what, 2 weeks out from Indy at the Combine?
Sadly,
how aggressive, the first year, AP found younger free agents, gave them real guaranteed contracts with multi-years with guaranteed money. I'm talking Luvu, Dorrance, Biotish.
A few of them.
And then last year they just got away from it, outside of Kinlaw, I guess. But, how much do you think Peters recognizes the need to be more aggressive in free agency this offseason?
Well, I think he's going to have to be, because he's not the 12-5 team with, the rookie of the year quarterback, and everybody now wants to join this team. They went 5-12. They're not the team that everybody wants to join. So you're going to have to, in a sense, I don't want to say overpay, but it's going to come at a cost, right? And that may be where it is you're going to have to throw in more guarantees. I always remember in Denver when they were winning and they had a really good defense, so many guys signed these, hometown discounts just to say, and they ended up regretting it, of course, but you can get away with that when you're winning. You can't do that now. So I think he's going to have to, if he wants to get the top caliber players, which he needs in some areas, no doubt. But I also, we look at it as both a negative and positive, right? Thank God he didn't give some of these players longer-term deals. I think on the flip side, they probably should have gone younger, and that's probably one of their regrets. But, hindsight's always 20/20.
This year, you got the draft. You got just a certain amount of picks there. When you start looking at free agency, do you think they go free agency draft, or you think any trade is possible?
I mean, with what picks? They only have, 6 this year? Mm-hmm. So then you're dipping into the future, and they have a number of holes to fill. If I could see trades to collect more picks to, on day one of the draft, if they decide to move back, I could still see that. But I think the emphasis has to be getting younger, getting faster. And if you're giving up picks to acquire veteran talent, sometimes you're certainly doing that. But other times you're getting, obviously older players. And I don't think they want to repeat that. So I think they need more building blocks. And, I mean, Adam did say we want to build through the draft. And, yes, every GM says that. But if he really means it, you got to start building through the draft, because you have to, after last season, start to question if some of their picks from, especially last year, but overall in the last 2 years, are part of the equation going forward. I felt strongly that Mikey Sainristil and even predating this regime, Quan Martin were key pieces of their defense going forward, but they both struggled last season. So there's less certainty with some of these guys. Is Ben Sinnott in the future going forward? I don't know. I don't know that he's given them much reason to be that yet. So they have a number of holes to fill, and they're going to need those picks.
Looking at the Mikey situation, I was talking with some guys make him play that nickel position?
Possibly. Is he? Then there will always be the question: is he big enough to play outside? And I think he's shown he's more than capable of playing outside, no matter his size, because he doesn't hit like a smaller player. But yeah, possibly. And how do they adapt if he is if they is truly that outside guy? They need to find a nickel. That's a unofficial starting role in the NFL. So, I know they viewed him in that position when they drafted him in the second round. But if it's not him, then they really got to find somebody.
Talking with our friend Nicki Jhabvala here on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude makes the most reliable HVAC products in the DMV. Give Nicki a follow at Nicki Jhabvala. Read her work in The Athletic. You brought up Sinnott there, and Ertz is a pending free agent. Obviously had the massive injury late in the season. I think correctly they absolutely love Zach Ertz and everything he did for them. But I don't think if you're going to tell us you want to get younger, faster, stronger, I don't think that's the path. You talked about Sinnott. We know Bates is going to be involved. I have liked Colson Yankoff from the first rookie minicamp when I saw him make a one-handed catch about 10 feet in the air. That said, do you think they consider a larger role for Sinnott? Do you think they have to look to free agency for tight end help? The tight end across the league and in this offense has played a large role.
Yeah, I could totally see him trying to give Ben Sinnott another go. I mean, they did invest in this guy. It's only been 2 seasons. He didn't get many touches, and now they have a new coordinator. So it seemed pretty clear to me that Cliff didn't view him as a long-term piece of his offense, because otherwise he would have gotten him the ball more, plain and simply. But I still think they need to add to that room, too, no matter if you give him more touches. Like, you have to add to that room. I thought they should have added to that room last year, even with the guys they had, just to create some competition. I agree with you that Colson Yankoff has the athletic potential to be somebody. I mean, he's sort of a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the range, former quarterbacks. Like, he's got everything you want in, a future football player. But, like, you've got to see something eventually, and you've got to replace Ertz. And I mean, he's coming off the injury, too. I'm just not seeing that's not going to happen, I don't think. You got to have a reliable pass catcher there. I mean, you need more reliable pass catchers across the board. You need receivers, you need tight ends, you need more dynamic backs. Like, you need all of it.
Totally. They need so much that, like, you. The reason there were a number of reasons, but the biggest reason, the lion's share of the 2024 success was Jaden being outrageously good. Yes. And it almost feels like in 2026, the path to a double-digit win season is Jaden being outrageously good. Like, they can add.
He's going to need help, though.
Right, but their hands are, unless you get super aggressive in free agency, or some of these young guys that haven't shown out yet do, like, it's a similar path is what it looks like on February 10th. A lot could change.
And honestly, like, watching the Patriots this year felt a little bit like the 2044 Commanders, where they didn't have the toughest schedule, and then then they faced some tougher defenses in the postseason, and it doesn't go as well. Drake May struggled against the tougher defenses. I mean, they couldn't really do anything in the Super Bowl. Granted, it is the Super Bowl, and they did make it that far. But it's a lot different when you face some of the league's top defenses. Now, if they get an easier schedule, presumably this season, will they fare a little bit better? I still think that's dangerous if it masks some of the deficiencies. But I think at this point, Adam Peters and the staff know what they have and what they don't have. But yeah, they got to get Jaden some help, and he shouldn't be expected to be, nor should he try to be Superman out there. I just don't think that's not sustainable.
I agree with that 100%.
Are you in Ashburn? You driving over here? I know you live like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, I'm in Leesburg, so I'm about to head out.
They only plowed like a third of the parking lot, so I would hustle.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
BMitch called me this morning. He's like, dog, you close? There's not going to be that much parking. But, Nikki, I'd like you to take notice. I think you know Brian's car. Check out the incredible level of VIP parking BMitch got today.
I got here early.
That's a money spot.
Amazing.
No, we're all outside the gate, but you will notice.
Okay. I'm going to take a picture. This would be great.
Yes. Thank you for the time. We appreciate you.
All right, Nikki. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. That's our friend Nicki Jhabvala from The Athletic. You can give her a follow at Nicki Jhabvala. Make sure you read all her work in The Athletic. We're going to open these phone lines up.